Do you want to know one of the biggest problems that most entrepreneurs and people who are going into business have? Is they tend to overcomplicate things by a long shot. And I'm culprit of this, so I'm no one to judge, but I'm just calling it out. Like the problem is there. So for example, everyone thinks that you need to have all of this fancy bullshit. Like you need to have a website, you need to have a fancy business name, a fancy logo, you need to have all this fancy stuff in order to have a business, when in reality, all you really need is a product or a service and somebody who you're selling it to. That's really the main things. Not necessarily a business. A business is a bit more complicated, but in order to be technically like an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, for the people who are very like what do you call it? The word Nazis. That's what you call them. And another thing is funnels. People tend to overcomplicate funnels. People tend to overcomplicate their landing pages, their systems. It needs to be all crazy. It needs to be super duper in depth, and it needs to have all this stuff. Like no. The SOPs that I'm making right now, what I'm doing is I'm helping scale a company. The business that I'm working on right now is with a team. We're really trying to scale. And one of the most important parts to scale a business is systems. And if you don't have systems, then you're fucked and you're never gonna scale a business. And the thing is, I've seen businesses, and previously I was working with a business that had extremely complicated systems. And the reason that he was never able, there were multiple reasons why he was never able to scale. I'm not gonna say his name or anything. But one of the reasons is because the systems that he had and the SOPs that he had were just too fucking complicated to understand. And in order to delegate and in order to actually scale the business, like long term, you cannot have the most complicated and the most absurd systems in the world. Don't get me wrong, there are certain things that will be complicated. For example, AI and certain tracking things, UTM parameters. Those things will be a little bit more complicated because just by nature, that's how they are. They are just simply more complicated. But in contrast to, for example, having like a basic system on the lead journey from the point where a lead touches point, like they fill out a form, the point of the close. That stuff does not need to be complicated. It does not. And it also helps you, like it helps the people around you and around your team and the clients that you're getting understand that you actually know what you're doing. Because if you're going to someone and you're talking to them and you're using all these complicated fancy terms, like I don't even know any fancy terms, but the SWOT analysis of the third millennia and the reason that the leads and the conversion rates are so like all this bullshit. Just use very simple terms, even though I use pretty simple terms there, like conversion rates is a pretty simple term. You get what I'm trying to say. Don't overcomplicate things, especially the things that don't need to be complicated. Like your funnel and your landing page, it does not need to be complicated. Just have your offer, have some testimony, like your landing page actually doesn't even need that. Have your offer, the main headline, the sub headline, the form, and I guess, or if it's a lead magnet, the lead magnet's a little bit different. Like a lead magnet form, it needs to have a headline, sub-headline, like a teaser that a lead magnet and what it contains. The form to actually collect the information at the bottom is like a risk reversal, even though if it's a lead magnet, don't really, like it's basically free, but you still need to add a testimonial or something just to spice it up. And then the next page is the thank you page with the video, like a VSL that kind of helps warm the lead up. Super duper complicated and super duper effective funnel. But people tend to do all these crazy, insane 4-step funnels. And don't get me wrong, depends on what type of business you're working with. You need to have more complicated funnels. But for the most part, like what we're doing right now is we have AI qualify the lead for us. So a 2-step funnel is killer. It's the best thing to collect leads. Some people have one-step funnels, one-stage funnels, like one-page funnels. I don't really know how those work. I've never actually seen one in live. I'm pretty sure most of them are 2-step. The first, like the collection page, and then the thank you page. But I don't know. What I'm trying to say here is your systems don't need to be complicated. I'll actually make that a lead magnet, a template for SOPs that people can use for their businesses. And the thing that I use for SOPs is a very, very brief outline. I tag them like 1.1 for lead generation, like 1.2 for basically so on and so forth. I tag them and I'm very, very organized with my SOPs. And they have an outline on what the process is like. And then they have a video. I don't like screenshots because screenshots just confuse you. So I have a brief 5-minute video explaining how to do it. Like for example, setting up the CRM, that's a very, very simple thing that most people on the team should know how to do. And how to schedule posts, that's a very simple thing that most people should know how to do as well. So you make an SOP by giving them an outline on the first step, second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step, and then a video and explaining how to do it. And then if you do that for most of the processes in your business, it's going to make scaling very, very easy. And you need to keep track of everything that you do, because if you actually want to scale a business, like right now what we're doing, it's very robust. So it's like we do social media, we do YouTube, and that's like the heart of the business, getting leads via YouTube. And then we take those YouTube videos and we clip them using AI clippers, and we distribute those shorts across every single social media platform. and we have a social media manager right now, going into posting stories and optimizing the shorts for conversions, creating lead magnets, posting those lead magnets on the YouTube videos and on the shorts as well, having automations automatically trigger and collect the leads for you via the lead magnets, since you can't really post a link in the description for YouTube or for Instagram or all those, but that's besides the point. Basically, right now what we're doing is very complex. AI, tracking, UTM parameters, Looker Studio dashboards, YouTube, all social medias. And in order for us to actually scale, we need to have systems in place and we need to have a bunch of stuff. And if we overcomplicate it, it's going to make scaling very, very difficult. And same thing for you. You can't overcomplicate shit and don't do it. All right, follow my main channel. Link is in the bio. Or don't, I don't really care. Peace.